However, the strength, how do the mitzvahs have the strength to reach up all the ways to the level of Seviv Kulam, to become the level of the Levushim, that give the person the strength to go up from Mimala Kulam to Seviv Kulam. So he says that is based on Kihinom Razal mitzvahs Tzrichas Kavanah. Our sages, the blessed memories, say that mitzvahs require intention. It is really the intention of the mitzvah that raises the person to that level. What is the idea? What does it mean, kavanah? Sometimes we talk about kavanah of a special mitzvah, but here we're talking kavanah just to fulfill the wishes of Hashem. The idea of the kavanah is the kayim mitzvah Hamelech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to fulfill the mitzvah of the King Kodesh Baruch Hu. Every mitzvah that we do, doesn't matter. We always have to have the kavanah. There's one kavanah that we are doing the mitzvah in order to fulfill Hashem's wishes. The Hainu Shabchol HaMitzvah Shoise, all the mitzvahs that he does. So his intention should be that he's doing it in order to fulfill the mitzvah of his Creator. As mentioned, the Kisva Rizal. So even before you say the Shema, what is the Shema? You're saying Echad. You're talking about the unity of Hashem. You're talking about V'ahavta that follows. So one can think those are mitzvahs. Why would you need to have a kavanah to them? They themselves have kavanah just to know the unity of Hashem, the love of Hashem. But still, it says in the Kisva Rizal that tzorich loymar, you have to say before you do Shema and V'ahavta hareini mekabel olai, I accept upon myself oil mitzvah saseh shel Krishma, the yoke of the positive mitzvah of Krishma. You see that you always have to accept even the mitzvahs of love of Hashem, the mitzvah unity of Hashem. You always have to first make the bracha. Hagam shadvorim isyashvim ala lev mitzadatzma. Even though that these words settle on the heart on their own, we don't need a bracha to tell you that you have to love or accept it. It's something that's going to come automatically. If you're going to say echad and you're going to do v'ahavta, it's self-explanatory. And yet, we find that you have to make the bracha first. Because if a person reflects on the greatness, Hashem is one, is memela yove libchinas v'ahavta. So automatically it's going to become v'ahavta. Why do we need to introduce it by a mitzvah mekabel alayim al mitzvah saseh? And yet you see that there is important tzorich lekavin. A person has to have in mind all that he's doing is not for what the mitzvah gives him, that level of love, that level of unity, but he's doing it because it's a mitzvah, only because it's a mitzvah. Because this is what he was been commanded, to reflect in Hashem's greatness and to awaken, arouse that love. So why is he doing that? Not because the love itself is so valuable. It's because he was commanded to do that love. And the reason is, why do we need that kavanah? Why do we need only because it's Tziva Hashem? Because the mitzvah has to reach in such a place which is beyond the level of love. It has to reach to the place of the Ein Sof, who is telling us the mitzvah. Mipnei kimidas malchusa yizborech ilemailo mibchinas hislafshus achayus shebetoich hanebroim. The measure of the blessed kingdom, of Hashem's blessed kingdom, is higher than being able to dress up that energy, vitality within the created being. It cannot. So therefore, we need to reach in higher to get to the level of the Melech himself, we can't get it from the measure of the Malchus, because the Malchus that comes down, they cannot dress up in Ibrahim. Commercial Hamelech, as for example, when we have a king, the essence of the king does not expand into all of the country. It is only his name. This is the king of the country. But the king himself is not there. We just know it's a country belonging to this king. That's only a ray from it. So what we have, what the Nivroim have, they don't have the Malchus, the Melech himself. They only have a ray from the Melech. But when you accept upon yourself the command of the king, which is higher than dressing up and the expansion of the energy into the created being. Through this, his soul will be elevated by accepting this higher level of Malchus in the Kodesh Elyon, in the supreme holiness, which is the level of Kodesh, not Kodesh, but Kodesh, the supreme level of Seviklam, which is beyond that level of Kodesh Elyon, which is higher than the dimensions and the definitions of the involvement of the Chayis within the word I said earlier. Because that level of beyond, the level that is higher, is stuck dafke in the end, in the Chayis, in the Nivroim, that when they bring about, they bring the Kavonas HaMitzvahs, they can bring down the highest level, the levels of Kodesh Elyon, level of Shemklam. Explains now in the parentheses, Ki Abba Yosad Berato. It says this is the Chochmah, which is called Abba, the father. Yosad is the foundation of Berato, of the daughter. The daughter here is referring to the level of Malchus. Basically, Shaham Malchus Shorsha Michochma Ilah. Malchus roots actually in the supreme Chochma, which is Kodesh Elyon Mamish, which is actually the supreme Kodesh. That's the level of Chochma. V'lochen Gamhi, and therefore, because it's rooted in Chochma, she too, the level of Malchus, is Nikra Kodesh. She also called Kodesh. Because of its root, because it's rooted in Chochma, which is Kodesh. The Ksiv Kodesh Hi Lochem. So Kodesh Hi Lochem, that's a referencing, the He is referencing to the Sfiras HaMalchus, and we're saying that it's also Kodesh because Malchus also gets the level of Kedusha of Kodesh because it is rooted in the level of Kodesh, in the level of Chochmah. The Gam Shorsha, in addition, is also, in addition to being rooted in the level of Chochmah, it's also rooted in B'chinas Kesef. So Lochein Nikra, and that's why it Keser Elyon, that's what we say, Keser Elyon, the Ihi Keser Malchus. It's a Keser Elyon, but which is the Keser Malchus. So that means that the Malchus is also rooted. The Keser is a Keser for Malchus. I'm Ashikosim is the Ramaskel Mimona Hanal Gabei Afas Sisif. And I'm Ashikosu B'Mokamachar B'Inyan Mamer Shmuel Lishmoya Shmuel Lishol Kishmoya Mizevach Tevchulu. Umashakosu b'dibra maschil, va'ato yigdal no koechad. So now, so this idea that you get from the level of malchus, from the level of mitzvahs, you go ahead and you jump up to the level of kesef, to the level of chokhmah, to the level of kodesh elyon. He says this is the idea that it says that zarko makif shofar hoylech segul. That's a name that they call the timing. We call it munach zarko, munach segul. But in the Pardes Rimonim, in the Kabbalah, they call the trop, the timing, they call it zarko. Now the word zarko means throne. You'll see. Makif surrounds, shofar hoylech, and then we have segolta. That's the segol that we have. So he's going to explain this timing of zarka, makif, shofar, segolta in this context that you take something from the lower level, from the level of memalkul almin, from the level of malchus, and you bring it up to the level zarko, you throw it, and you take this segulta, that's the chosen one, am zgula, which is referencing the Jewish people, and you bring it to the level of makif shefer hoylech, as he's going to explain. The Isa, the Tikkunei Zohar, because we find in the Tikkunei Zohar, shemidas malchus yisborech nikra zarko, that the level of malchus is called zarko. The is darikas l'mayla, it is thrown higher and higher. V'leches imo segolta, and with it goes this segolta. Says in the Tikkunei Zohar, the segolta, that's the level of the yidden that come along with when malchus goes up. The yidden go up together with the level of malchus. Zarko, which means is darikas l'mayla, that it goes high. Hayleches ima segolta, together with his gold segel. Who is segel? Ibchinas Yisrael am segulosui. That's the level of Yisrael, the nation that is Hashem's segula, that Hashem's chosen nation, special, unique nation, the segulosui. That goes along with the level of the Yois Gamheim Nizrokim Kodesh Elyon, so that they too are thrown into this supreme Kodesh, Shalamayla Mishtalshus Canal, which is higher than the Ishtalshus. Vubichinas Hasoivev Kula Alman Canal. That is the level that surrounds all worlds, as mentioned before. So together with Malchus, Aliyah, the Zarka, the Segolta goes along. Ba'ayin Mashakosu. Me'inya segulus goyla v'divra maschil novel l'chayayich b'toirim v'divra maschil oisri l'gefen. V'hainu al shem ha'avativis she'yerusha lono ma'avisein. And that is because of our natural love, which is inherited to our fathers, from our fathers. Basically, we are a segulta, we are a chosen, because we are that special love which we have inherited from our fathers. That is similar to what we say, the neshama starts off at the level of Torah. Segulta, we're also segulta like the Torah. But va'idei ha-mitzvahs, but when we do mitzvahs, mis'alin l'maylo yoser b'bchinas kodesh elyon kanal. Then we are elevated even higher to the level of Kodesh El. By Mashakosu, B'divra Maschil, by Daber Elikim Chulu, by Avram Chulu, Ushmi Chulu Aisha. So now he's going to give a physical example from this whole concept that he was talking about over here, that when you take something lower and you bring it up to even a higher than it comes from. He says there is a tree, which is a cedar, when a cedar tree is soft, it's still young, and you bend it, and you bend it down all the way to the ground, and then you put something on it, and then when you let it go, it flies up, and the item that's on it flies even higher than the top of the brush of the cedar. So basically, the level of Malchus, the Ani, is considered like this soft cedar that when the a Yid with the mitzvahs, the level of Malchus, goes up when it's thrown, it goes even higher than the top. It goes to the level of Sevim Kolalman, which is higher. The top is the level of Toirahi. The top is the level of Segulta. The top is the level, highest level of Malaklami. But then when you shoot it up, it goes even higher, and it goes into the level of Sevim Kolalman. So he says like this: V'hainu hodik siv. This is what the pasuk says. Ani kibroish ranon. I am like a soft broish tree, which is a cedar. Broish who eats eres hagavoya. Broish is a tall cedar tree. The ranon means when it's fresh. Hukshadayin rach, when it's still soft. Sheyicholim lichfoy roishoy. You're able to bend its top all the way to the bottom. And when you put something on the end, when you bend it down, then when it raises on its own, the yamid al omdei, and it will stand on its place high up. So then it will throw and raise that item. It will be as known, it'll push it and it'll throw it even higher than the top. So that is what the pasuk says, Kach, Ani kibresh ranon. What Ani? It means that's Malchus Yisbarei, that's the midas of Malchus. It's like this soft cedar. She went down and dressed up in physical mitzvahs. Then it goes up to the highest of level. It also raises the person who fulfills the mitzvahs, to also get up even higher than the measure of Malchus. And it is higher than Malchus, the way Malchus was before it came down to the mitzvah, before you bent it down into the mitzvahs. So Malchus was in a very high level. And here you go higher than that level of Malchus. Which is the level? It's Kodesh Ha'elyon Hasevu Kolam Kanal. That's the level of the Supreme Kodesh, which surrounds the world. That is that level that you reach to. And on this, the pasuk says, "Utzedaka tereimem goy." Charity raises the nation. Charity here means all the mitzvahs, because all mitzvahs are called tzedakah. Shekol ha-mitzvahs nikroim b'shem tzedakah. All mitzvahs are called tzedakah. Meshe Kosuv, where do we see mitzvah called tzedakah? It says, "Tzedakah tiyelanu kedishmer lasis kol ha-mitzvah hazois." It'll be a tzedakah. You have two times the word call by you? No. Kedishmer lasis kol ha-mitzvah hazois, right?
Yeah. The only one time.
Okay. So now go on to mitzvahs meroimimim umagbiim es neshamas Yisrael l'mayla. That the mitzvahs raise, elevate, and bring I up the neshamas Yisrael higher and higher. That is tzedakah. The mitzvahs tereimim goy. Ba'imashkos mezebdiv ramaschal shemaim kisi Which is like the pedestal which raises. And mostly this is by the mitzvah of Talmud Torah Shikineket Kulam, which corresponds to all the mitzvahs. Ki oisius haTorah nikru susim. The words of Torah are called horses. So a horse leads you to places you can't get by yourself. So meaning when we learn Torah especially, the words of Torah are the horses, are the give us the ability to ride the horse to get up to the highest places. He says the horse and its chariot raised, meaning the horse can raise you, goes, gallops, the horse raises and carries the rider the mokim shein yochel lagisham atzmei to a place where he can't reach there by himself. The Rebbe says the efshesh zo gamkin inyan zarko. This is also the idea of zarko that we said throwing, and quoting from another place of the Zohar, ke'avno bikirta. The kind of words it talks about in the Tikkun Zohar in Zohar actually, Parshas Yoschanan. But he says this is the idea asher avonim heim oisios. The avonim are letters. When you say throwing these stones, those are the words and letter of Torah. Just like he says, it's the horse that leads you. This is also the same letters of the words that Zarko throws you basically up, like the stones are thrown, referencing to that. Okay, so now we know that mitzvahs bring us up to this highest level. So he says, but when does the main elevation take place? It takes place on Shabbos. That you should guard Shabbos, because Shabbos is kodesh for you. So that means that Shabbos brings about that level of kodesh, that level of Seviv Kol Almin, that is kodesh for you. The main elevations of the soul of Israel. Shemis Ali mibchinas umadreges tahara, libchinas umadreges tahira, mibchinas madreges va'anshe kodesh tiyun, to become people of kodesh, and to the level of kodesh Yisrael Hashem. Hine aliyah zu hi b'Shabbos. That main elevation is on Shabbos. K'agam, can you hear me?
Yes, Rabbi, I hear you.
Somebody's trying to call me, but I'm not answering that phone. Okay, so then. Hine aliyah zu hi b'Shabbos. K'agam, the aliyah zu hu al yidei ha'torah mitzvahs. So, why are we waiting for Shabbos? We're saying from the level of Tahira to get to the level of Kodesh, Shomish and Asat to be Tahira. But the level, want to get to the level of Sevim Kalamin, and we explained the whole time that is through the mitzvahs. So why do we have to wait for Shabbos? Why don't we say the elevation is as soon as we do the mitzvahs? It elevates us. The Aliyah takes place with Shabbos. Gargam, the Aliyah is why they are Torah mitzvahs. Although the Aliyah is through Torah mitzvahs. Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvah, so mitzvahs make us holy, make us kodesh. However, also the elevation of all the Torah mitzvahs of the whole, all of the 6 days of action, which is the 6 days of the week. This, in addition to what we do on Shabbos itself, everything is Hu Alidei Shabbos, is through Shabbos. So, why is that? Because there is the level of the lower level of Kodesh, which is the level of Malchus itself. The Kodesh Elyon, Kodesh Elyon is the supreme Chachma. The Mitzvahs are called mitzvahs hamelech. They're called the mitzvah the melech. So it could be the melech kodesh tatorah, malchus itself, or it could lead the source, the mitzvah melech chokmah. Ach b'Shabbos, what's the next word? Who? And who what? There's no reish there. Who aliyas hamalchus? The beginning kodesh el yomamish, right? Well, our Shabbos who aliyas hamalchus. The beginning kodesh el yomamish kodesh. V'zo ki kodesh hi lochem. Kodesh lochem means hainu aliyas beginning malchus yisbarich. And the kodesh v'shorsha beginning kodesh elim. Shem shom chutzba in level kodesh elim from which it's carved out. The Abba Yosod Brato, that Abba founded Brato. You come back to the foundation. The Abba founded, Chochmah founded Malchus, and you come back to the father, to the foundation, to the Shoresh. And through this explanation, we can find a lineage for the minhag that is explained in Eretz Chaim, Litbeil es atzmei b'mikveh b'erev Shabbos, to immerse yourself in a mikveh erev Shabbos. What's the idea? Why the mikveh erev Shabbos? Because Shabbos nikro kodesh ilochem. Because Shabbos is called kodesh. So before you come to kodesh, first you have to have purity. The Tara may be likutei kedusha. So therefore, the mikveh on erev Shabbos. So what's the reason that this aliyah takes place on Shabbos? Shabbos means that it's resting, relaxation of the spirit, which means we have a time of the 6 days in which the Hashem sort of descends into the level of Malchus to create world. This is when it comes back in to his own level. Ki sheishis yomim also Hashem Shemayim v'Soretz. Hashem made it for 6 days. Al yidei asara mamoris, through the 10 saying. He said, Yehi oir shu bechinas yeridas hadibur. That means that the level of dibur descended. And in the dibur has the machshava, Hashem's thought, and into the speech, to be extend and expand and dress up in the nivroim. Shabbos, dibur goes up back to chochmeh lo. U'bechinas aliyas midas malchus, bechinas kodesh aliyah. That's the level of malchus going up to kodesh aliyah. Kenotes sofam tchilosam b'seifam b'tchilosam kenal. U'kemoshul odom hashoyves noch mimeleches avodah. It's like a person who rests and relaxes from a work that he did. So then his intellect and his thought that was dressed up in what he was doing, they go back and they're elevated back to their source. And this is what the pasuk says, Kodesh Yisrael. Again, it says Kodesh Yisrael. Yidden become the level of Kodesh LaHashem through Reishis Tvu'asa, to the beginning of the grain. The grain is the level of Torah. Tvu'asa Nikra, what is her grain? What's the grain? Nikra the Goncha, that's the grain. Tereshcha, that's the wine. Yitzarecha is the oil. The Goncha is HaTalmud, that is the Talmud B'Halacha Saniklaslam. That's the grain from the laws of the Talmud, which is revealed to us. V'tireshcha, and then you have V'tireshcha, the wine. Nichnas Yain Yotzesod, we say wine comes in, the sod comes out. Haim, Pnimis HaTorah, and he can rosendereise. That's the inner of Torah, which is called the secret of Torah. That's the wine of Torah. The Yitzorecha, that's oil. Shemen Shetzof al Gabi Yain, that it goes on top of wine. Who rosen the rosen, that's the secret of this. Shekol Elu, all of these, the Gondcha, Teresha, Nikra Tvuos, they're all called grain. Most of the time, a lot of times we think of grain as things that grow in the field, not trees. But, and here we're talking about wine, and we're talking about oil, we're talking about grain. Kiesh Tvuos, so there is grain, there is produce of the field, and this produce of the orchard. Sages blessed memory say that even the olive is called a produce, a tvua. Yidden are elevated to the level of kodesh. Shuhu reishis lahatorah. That is the first. That is the level of reishis for Torah. In other words, they go to even higher than Torah. So similar to what we said before, in the beginning, Yidden are below Torah. Mamer, like we say, there are three knots connect to each other. Yisrael connect to the Torah, and the Torah connects to Hashem, which means basically, Yisrael hem mekablim HaTorah. But then they become reishis la Torah. Reishis tvos, they headed to men. Okay, inyan, similar to the idea, like we say, shenemar vasisem oisam, you make Torah, they add to the Torah. V'chein, and likewise also we have the pasuk asher yase oisam ha'odam, the person makes them. V'she Yisrael heimam mamshichim. Then the Yidden actually bring Ein Sof to the Torah. Liyis Ein Sof mispashet mislabit b'chochma. So the Ein Sof should come b'chochma. Shezeu pirush oisek b'Torah lishma, for the sake of Torah, because to bring down into Torah lishma mamish. U'kameshekosu b'mokum achar as elsewhere. Zeu shomer azal. Sages tell us. The pasuk says, "Seres Hashem chefti." Pasuk, you want the Torah. You want the Torah. And then it becomes his Torah. First, it's Torah Hashem chefti. Then it becomes Torah Nikral Shemoy on his name, because that's what he adds into Torah. Okay, so let's leave it over here.